Lieutenant Commander Olivia Martinez stood at the entrance to the large Galactic Coalition embassy on Earth. She smoothed down her dark blue dress uniform for the 5th time in 10 minutes. Her heart beat fast as she waited in line behind 3 alien diplomats. Today was her first day as the human diplomatic liaison, and she needed to attend the peace talks between the Arcturian Empire and the Vega Federation. The line moved quickly. Soon Olivia reached the security checkpoint. A tall, blue-skinned alien guard stood there. His name badge read Krell. He had 4 arms and a hard outer shell that made him look like a giant insect. 2 smaller arms held a digital scanner while his larger arms remained crossed over his chest. "Identification," Krell said without looking at her. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Olivia handed over her Coalition ID card and security clearance documents. "Good morning, I'm Lieutenant Commander Martinez, the new human representative for the Peace Summit." Krell finally looked at her. His large compound eyes narrowed. He scanned her ID and stared at the screen for a long time. Then he handed the card back to her. "Access denied," he said flatly. Olivia blinked in surprise. "There must be some mistake. My clearance was approved 2 weeks ago by Admiral Howard himself." "No mistake," Krell replied. His mouth parts clicked together. "Humans are not allowed at this level of diplomatic meeting. Your species is still under probation status." A small group of alien diplomats had gathered behind Olivia. They watched with interest. Some whispered to each other and pointed at her. Heat rose to her face, but she kept her voice calm. "I believe you're working with outdated information," she said. "Earth gained full membership status last month. It was announced at the Coalition Assembly." Krell's blue face darkened to a deeper shade. "I know the rules, human. Your kind is not ready for full membership. You are too violent, too unpredictable." One of the aliens in line, a tall, silver-skinned being, spoke up. "The human is correct. Earth has joined as a full member. I was at the ceremony." Krell ignored this comment. "Move aside. You are holding up the line." Olivia didn't move. She had studied hard for this position. She knew every coalition rule and law. Admiral Howard had picked her because she had a perfect memory and never got angry during tough situations. This was exactly the kind of test he had warned her about. "Could you please check the updated registry?" she asked politely. "I'm sure this can be cleared up quickly." "I have made my decision," Krell said. His voice grew louder. "Security will remove you if you continue to make trouble." Several more aliens had stopped to watch now. Olivia noticed some of them recording the incident with small devices. She recognized delegates from at least 6 different worlds. This was becoming a diplomatic scene, exactly what she didn't want on her first day. But she also knew she was right. Olivia took a deep breath and stepped back from the checkpoint. She reached slowly into her pocket and pulled out her official Coalition communication device. It was shaped like a small silver star. "What are you doing?" Krell demanded. "Following proper procedure," Olivia replied calmly. She pressed the center of the star. "Security Command, this is Lieutenant Commander Martinez. I need to report a Code 17B violation at the North Embassy entrance." The response was immediate. The star glowed green, and a voice answered, "Acknowledged, Commander. Security team dispatched." Krell's blue face turned almost white. "What are you doing?" he repeated, but his voice had lost its confidence. "I'm calling security," Olivia explained. "Coalition Law Section 17B clearly states that no member species can be denied access based on their species alone. It's a serious violation of the Unity Accords." Before Krell could respond, 3 uniformed security officers appeared on a transport pad nearby. The light from the transport faded as they stepped forward. 2 males and 1 female from 3 different alien species. The one in front wore a captain's insignia. "I'm Captain Nix," said the leader, a tall being with purple skin and silver eyes. "What seems to be the problem here?" "This human is trying to enter a restricted area," Krell said quickly. "She doesn't have proper clearance." Olivia kept her voice steady. "I'm Lieutenant Commander Olivia Martinez, newly appointed human diplomatic liaison. I have Alpha-level clearance for the Arcturian Vegan Peace Summit, approved by Admiral Howard. Officer Krell is refusing entry based solely on my species, claiming humans are still on probation status. Captain Nix turned to Krell. Is this true? Humans are not ready, Krell insisted. Their membership was a mistake. Captain Nix held out her hand. Commander Martinez, may I see your credentials? Olivia handed over her ID card and documents. Captain Nix studied them carefully, then passed them to her teammates. They nodded in agreement. These credentials are in perfect order, Captain Nix said. She touched a device on her wrist. Central Registry, please confirm Earth's current status. In the Coalition. A mechanical voice responded immediately. Earth, full member status. Confirmed April 15th, 2157. Captain Nix looked at Krell with a hard expression. Officer Krell, why didn't you check the registry when asked? Krell's mouth parts clicked rapidly. I was certain. This isn't the first complaint we've received, said one of the other security officers. 3 other new member species reported similar issues at this checkpoint. Captain Nix's face grew stern. Officer Krell, you are relieved of duty pending investigation. Please surrender your security badge. Krell seemed to shrink before their eyes. His tall, proud stance collapsed. He removed his badge slowly and handed it over. Commander Martinez, Captain Nix said, turning to Olivia. On behalf of Coalition Security, I apologize for this incident. Please allow me to escort you personally to the summit. As they walked away, Olivia heard the 3rd security officer speaking into a communication device. Central Command, we have another isolationist faction suspect. Beginning full background investigation on Officer Krell immediately. Olivia looked back once to see Krell being led away by the 2nd officer. The gathered diplomats parted to let them through, many now looking at Olivia with new interest and respect. You handled that perfectly, Captain Nix said quietly as they entered the Grand Embassy building. Many would have lost their temper or given up. I just followed the rules, Olivia replied. Captain Nix smiled. Exactly. And that's why Admiral Howard chose you. Not many understand that sometimes the strongest response isn't forcing your way through a door. It's knowing exactly who to call to open it for you. Captain Nix led Olivia through the grand entrance hall of the Galactic Coalition Embassy. The ceiling rose at least 50 feet above them, decorated with moving lights that showed the stars and planets of member worlds. Olivia tried not to stare, but it was hard. This was her first time inside the main embassy building. First time here? Captain Nix asked, noticing Olivia's wide eyes. Yes, Olivia admitted. I've been to the training center and the human embassy section, but never the main hall. Captain Nix nodded. It's quite a sight. The lights change position in real time to match the actual locations of the stars. They walked toward a large elevator at the far end of the hall. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some looked almost human. Others had extra limbs, unusual skin colors, or body shapes that seemed impossible. Olivia noticed several of them looking at her with interest. Word travels fast, Captain Nix said quietly. The incident at the entrance has already made its way through the building. Olivia felt her face grow warm. I didn't mean to cause a scene. You didn't, Captain Nix assured her. You handled it exactly right, that's why people are interested. Most new species try to force their way through problems or give up entirely. You used the system properly. They entered the elevator. Captain Nix placed her hand on a glowing panel. Security Council Chamber, she said clearly. The elevator began to move sideways rather than up. I thought we were going to the Peace Summit, Olivia said, confused. We have a small detour first. Captain Nix replied. Admiral Howard wants to speak with you. Olivia's heart beat faster. Admiral Gregory Howard was the head of Coalition Security and one of the few humans to hold a high position in the Galactic Coalition. He had personally selected Olivia for her role, but she had only met him once during her interview. The elevator stopped and the doors opened to reveal a circular room with dark blue walls. In the center was a round table with 10 seats. Only one was filled. A tall man with gray hair and dark skin stood up as they entered. Commander Martinez, he said with a warm smile. Right on time, though not exactly as planned. Admiral Howard, Olivia replied, standing straight. I apologize for the trouble at the entrance. Howard waved his hand. No need to apologize. You did exactly what you should have done. He gestured to a seat. Please sit down. We have a few minutes before the summit begins. Olivia sat across from the Admiral. Captain Nix remained standing near the door. What you experienced at the entrance wasn't an accident, Admiral Howard said. His face turned serious. We've suspected for some time that members of the isolationist faction have infiltrated our security forces. The isolationist faction? Olivia asked. A group that believes the coalition should stop adding new member species, Captain Nix explained. They think the older races should keep power to themselves. Admiral Howard nodded. They've been causing small problems for years, but recently they've become more bold. They've been targeting representatives from newer member worlds, especially humans. Why humans specifically? Olivia asked. Because humans are advancing quickly, Admiral Howard said. Most species take centuries to move from first contact to full membership. Earth did it in less than 50 years. That scares them. Olivia thought about this. And Officer Krell is part of this faction? We believe so, but we needed proof, Captain Nix said. Your incident today gives us cause to investigate him fully. Admiral Howard leaned forward. But that's not why I wanted to speak with you before the summit. There's more you need to know. He touched a control on the table and a hologram appeared above them. It showed two alien worlds orbiting the same sun. The Arcturians and the Vegans have been fighting over these planets for 200 years, he explained. Both claim the right to terraform the smaller world for colonization. They've nearly gone to war 3 times. I read the briefing materials, Olivia said, but I don't understand why humans were chosen as mediators. We're the newest members of the coalition. Admiral Howard smiled. That's exactly why. Both sides requested a human perspective. They believe humans can understand both viewpoints because your species has a unique history. Unique how? Olivia asked. Most species either destroy themselves before reaching space or they solve their problems and live in peace, Captain Nix said. Humans did neither. You nearly destroyed yourselves multiple times yet always pulled back from the edge. You understand both conflict and cooperation in a way most species don't, Admiral Howard added. The Arcturians and Vegans respect that. They think you can see solutions they cannot. Olivia felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. I'll do my best, but I'm not a professional diplomat. That's another reason you were chosen, Admiral Howard said. Both sides are tired of professional diplomats who use fancy words but solve nothing. They requested someone practical. He checked the time on his wrist device. The summit begins in 10 minutes. You should know that your handling of the security incident has already impressed several delegates. They witnessed how you solved a problem without anger or force. I just followed the rules, Olivia said. Exactly, Admiral Howard replied with a smile. And in doing so, you showed that humans understand something fundamental about civilization. True strength isn't about forcing your way through barriers. It's about knowing how systems work and using them properly. He stood up. One last thing. Commander, the isolationist faction may have other agents at this summit. Be careful what you say and who you trust. Captain Nix moved toward the door. I'll escort Commander Martinez to the summit now, sir. Admiral Howard nodded. Good luck, Commander. Earth is counting on you, even if they don't know it yet. They left the Security Council chamber and entered the elevator again. This time, it moved upward. The Peace Summit is being held in the Grand Hall, Captain Nix explained. All 27 current member species will be present, plus observers from 15 non-member worlds. Olivia took a deep breath. No pressure. Captain Nix's face showed confusion for a moment, then understanding. Ah, human humor. I'm still learning to recognize it. She smiled. But you're right. The pressure is substantial. These talks have failed 3 times before. The elevator stopped and the doors opened to reveal a massive room filled with aliens of all kinds. They sat at curved tables arranged in a semicircle. At the front was a small stage with a podium. The human representative has arrived, announced a voice over the speakers. All eyes turned to look at Olivia. Some faces showed interest, others skepticism. A few looked openly hostile. "Remember," Captain Nix said quietly before leaving her, "you already proved yourself once today. You can do it again." Olivia nodded and walked into the room. A small table near the front had an Earth flag on it. As she made her way there, she noticed two groups sitting separately from the others. From their distinctive features, green scales for one group, silver fur for the other, she recognized them as Arcturians and vegans. An alien with long tentacles instead of arms approached her. "Lieutenant Commander Martinez, I am Delegate Zorn, Summit Coordinator. You will be asked to speak in approximately 20 minutes. Are you prepared?" Olivia thought of the security checkpoint, of Admiral Howard's words, and of the responsibility she now carried. "Yes," she said firmly. "I'm ready." Olivia sat at her table and looked over her notes while the Summit Coordinator spoke. The room was large, with high ceilings and glass walls that showed the Earth sky outside. Hundreds of aliens from different worlds filled the seats. Some looked almost human, while others had strange body shapes, extra limbs, or unusual features. She noticed the two groups that mattered most today, the Arcturians with their green, scaly skin, and the vegans with silver fur covering their bodies. They sat on opposite sides of the room, not looking at each other. The tension between them was clear to everyone. "And now," announced Delegate Zorn, his tentacles waving gently, "we will hear from the human representative, Lieutenant Commander Olivia Martinez." Olivia stood up, smoothed her uniform, and walked to the speaking platform. The room went quiet. She could feel hundreds of eyes watching her. Her heart beat fast, but she kept her face calm. "Honored delegates of the Galactic Coalition," she began. "Thank you for allowing Earth to participate in these important talks. As the newest full member of the Coalition, we are honored to share our perspective." She looked directly at the Arcturian and vegan sections. "Earth has a saying, those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. Our history is filled with conflicts similar to yours. For centuries, human nations fought over land, resources, and beliefs. Some of the delegates shifted uncomfortably. Everyone knew about Earth's violent history. Humans were famous for it, even though they had moved past most of it now. But that's not the whole story," Olivia continued. "Humans also have a long history of finding solutions when war seemed certain. Let me tell you about the Antarctic Treaty." She explained how 7 nations had once claimed parts of Earth's southern continent, how they almost went to war over it, and how they eventually agreed to share it for science instead of fighting over it. "Antarctica remains the only continent on Earth without weapons, military bases, or resource exploitation," she said. "It is preserved for research that benefits all humanity." Olivia saw an Arcturian delegate lean forward with interest. She continued, "With more examples from Earth's history, river treaties, shared natural parks between countries, and joint protection of ancient sites. These solutions weren't easy," she said. "They required all sides to give up something. But they gained something more valuable, lasting peace and cooperation." Now she moved to the specific problem between the Arcturians and vegans. "You both claim the right to terraform and colonize the third planet in the Proxus system. Your claims are based on history, need, and capability. Both claims have merit." She paused, looking at both groups. "But I wonder, has anyone asked what's best for the planet itself?" A murmur went through the room. This was a new approach. "Earth learned a hard lesson about changing planets too quickly," Olivia explained. "We nearly ruined our own world before we understood the consequences. Terraforming isn't just about making a planet livable for your species. It's about understanding the balance of an entire system." She touched a control, and a hologram appeared above the platform. It showed detailed scans of the disputed planet. "According to Coalition science reports, this planet has simple native life forms. They're small, but they exist. Any terraforming would destroy them completely." The vegan leader stood up. "Those simple organisms have no intelligence. The needs of our people should come first." "I understand," Olivia replied calmly. "Earth faced similar choices. But we learned that all life has value and purpose, even the simplest forms. An Arcturian delegate spoke next. The Vegans only want the planet for its mineral resources. They will strip it bare. At least our terraforming plan preserves the surface features. That's not true, shouted a vegan. You would change the atmosphere to suit your biology, killing everything that exists now. The room erupted in loud arguments. Delegate Zorn looked worried. Previous peace talks had broken down at exactly this point. Olivia waited for the noise to settle. When it didn't, she pressed a small button on her uniform collar. A soft but clear tone sounded through the room. Everyone stopped talking, surprised by the sound. Thank you, Olivia said. I'd like to offer a different approach, one that might satisfy both sides and protect the planet. She brought up a new hologram showing both Arcturian and vegan space stations. What if neither side terraforms the planet? What if instead you build a joint orbital habitat? The room was completely silent now. Earth has been developing habitat ring technology, Olivia continued. These structures orbit a planet without changing it. They can be sectioned to create different environments, some perfect for Arcturians, others for vegans. The planet itself remains untouched, preserved for scientific study by both peoples. She showed more details of the habitat design. Both sides would need to work together to build it. Both would share the mineral resources from the planet's moons, not the planet itself. And both would benefit from the scientific knowledge gained by studying an untouched world. The Arcturian leader, a tall female with bright green scales, stood up. This is interesting, but such a habitat would be expensive and difficult to build. Yes, Olivia agreed. It would require cooperation, but the coalition would help. Earth would share our habitat technology freely. The vegan leader spoke next, his silver fur shimmering under the lights. Our people need a new home within 10 years. Our current world is becoming overcrowded. The first sections of a habitat ring could be completed in 5 years, Olivia replied. Faster than terraforming, which takes at least 15 years to create a livable environment. Delegate Zorn stepped forward. This is an unexpected proposal. I suggest we take a break for all parties to consider it. As the delegates left for the break room, Olivia noticed many of them talking excitedly. The Arcturian and vegan leaders were actually speaking to each other, something they hadn't done in years. Admiral Howard appeared at her side. Well done, Commander. Very well done. Do you think they'll agree? Olivia asked. I don't know, Howard replied. But they're talking instead of threatening war. That's progress. A tall Draxian approached them. Unlike Krell, this one had lighter blue skin and friendlier eyes. Lieutenant Commander Martinez, I am Security Director Vax. I wanted to inform you that we've completed our initial investigation of Officer Krell. Already? Admiral Howard asked. That was fast. We found concerning evidence immediately, Vax explained. Krell has been blocking representatives from newer species for months. But there's more. We found communications between him and known members of the isolationist faction. Olivia frowned. What does that mean? It means, Howard said grimly, that we have a bigger problem than we thought. If they've infiltrated embassy security, they could be anywhere. Including this summit, Vax added. We believe there may be a plot to disrupt these peace talks. The last thing the isolationists want is humans helping to solve a major dispute. Olivia looked back at the conference room, where delegates were starting to return to their seats. What should we do? Continue, exactly as you have been, Howard said. But be careful. Watch for any unusual disruptions. As Olivia walked back to her seat, she noticed a custodial worker adjusting something under one of the tables. The worker looked up, saw her watching, and quickly moved away. Something didn't feel right. Olivia changed direction and headed for that table instead of her own. She needed to see what that worker had been doing. Olivia moved quickly through the rows of tables. The custodial worker had already disappeared through a side door, but she needed to check what they had been doing. As she reached the table, she looked underneath and saw a small black device attached to the bottom. It had a blinking red light. She didn't touch it. Instead, She stood up and caught Captain Nix's eye across the room. She made a small hand signal that all Coalition security personnel would recognize. Possible threat detected. Captain Nix responded immediately, walking casually toward Olivia while touching her wrist communicator. 2 more security officers appeared at different doors, moving slowly into the room to avoid causing alarm. "Under the table," Olivia whispered when Captain Nix reached her. "A device I've never seen before. A custodial worker just placed it there and left quickly." Captain Nix knelt down and looked under the table. Her face grew serious. "Good catch, Commander. That's a signal disruptor. It would have blocked all communications in this room." She carefully removed the device and slipped it into a containment pouch on her belt. "Why would someone want to block communications?" Olivia asked. "Multiple reasons, none good," Captain Nix replied. "It would prevent anyone from calling for help, stop the translation systems from working, and cut off the recording of the proceedings." She looked around the room. "Whose table is this?" Olivia checked the small flag on the table. "The Arcturian delegation." Captain Nix's eyes narrowed. "The custodial worker. What did they look like?" "Humanoid, wearing standard embassy maintenance uniform. Light purple skin, no hair." Olivia tried to remember more details. 4 fingers on each hand. Moved very quickly. "Sounds like a Centaurian," Captain Nix said. She spoke into her wrist communicator. "Security alert. Locate and detain any Centaurian, maintenance staff in the building. Possible isolationist operative." The delegates were returning to their seats now. The Arcturian leader approached her table, looking confused to find Olivia and Captain Nix there. "Is something wrong?" she asked. "Captain," Nix bowed slightly. "Just a routine security check, Delegate Sora. Everything is fine now." The Arcturian didn't look convinced but took her seat anyway. Captain Nix moved toward the back of the room while Olivia returned to her own table. The summit coordinator, Delegate Zorn, called the meeting back to order. "We will now hear responses to the human proposal," Zorn announced. "The Arcturian delegation may speak first." Delegate Sora stood up. Her green scales shimmered under the room's lights. "The Arcturian Union has considered the habitat ring proposal. We find it intriguing. The preservation of the planet's native life forms aligns with our values. However, we have concerns about resource allocation and construction timelines." Olivia made notes as Sora continued. The Arcturians weren't rejecting the idea, which was a good start. Then the Vegan leader took his turn to speak. "The Vegan Federation appreciates the creative approach," he said, his silver fur moving slightly as he spoke. "Building above, rather than changing the surface, could indeed be faster than terraforming. But we would need guarantees about living, space, and access to resources." As the discussion continued, Olivia noticed something strange. One of the junior Vegan delegates kept touching his ear and looking confused. Then she saw a member of the Pleiadian delegation doing the same thing. Something was wrong with their translation devices. She looked for Captain Nix and saw her speaking urgently with another security officer near the door. Admiral Howard was with them now, his face concerned. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered. The holographic displays showing the habitat ring design disappeared. The main doors slid shut with a loud bang. "What's happening?" Delegate Zorn asked, his tentacles waving with alarm. A voice came over the speaker system. Not the normal announcement voice, but a deep, distorted one. "This summit is now under the control of the isolationist faction. All exits are locked. All communications have been blocked. You will listen to our demands." Panic spread through the room. Delegates stood up, some trying to reach the doors, others huddling together in fear. Olivia remained calm, watching as Captain Nix and her security team tried to open the main doors without success. "Silence," the voice commanded. "Your species have corrupted the Galactic Coalition with your endless expansion. The addition of violent, unstable races like humans threatens our very existence. This ends today." Olivia noticed something important. Her own communication device still worked. The signal jammers hadn't been fully activated yet. She sent a quick message to Admiral Howard across the room. "Emergency Channel 7 still open. Distract them." Howard. gave a small nod, and then stood up. "Whoever you are," he called out loudly, "this action violates every coalition law. Release us immediately and your punishment will be less severe." While all eyes turned to Howard, Olivia slipped under her table and accessed her emergency toolkit. Every coalition officer carried one. Inside was a small device designed to override electronic locks in emergency situations. She needed to reach the main control panel by the door. "Punishment?" The voice laughed. "We are saving the coalition from itself. The older races built this alliance. We will decide who joins and when. Humans should never have been admitted." As the voice continued, Olivia moved slowly around the edge of the room, staying low and using the tables as cover. She could see Captain Nix watching her, understanding her plan. "And now," the voice continued, "we will demonstrate the consequences of ignoring our previous warnings." A section of the ceiling opened, and a large device lowered into the room. It looked like a weapon of some kind. Delegates screamed and moved away from it. Olivia reached the main door control panel. She attached her override device and worked quickly. The panel was more complex than she expected. "You have 2 minutes to agree to our terms," the voice announced. "Revoke all memberships granted in the last 10 years or we will activate this device. It will release a gas that is harmless to the older species but deadly to newer members, including humans." The room erupted in shouting. The Arcturian and vegan leaders tried to calm their people. Admiral Howard caught Olivia's eye and gave her an encouraging nod. She needed more time. Captain Nix stepped forward. "I am Captain Nix of Coalition Security. I request to speak with your leader directly." There was a pause. Then, "There is nothing to discuss." "I disagree," Nix replied. "Your plan has flaws. The gas you threaten to use will affect many species you consider allies. I have information you need to hear." Another pause. Olivia worked faster on the control panel. Her device showed a 60% progress reading. While Captain Nix kept talking, Olivia noticed something strange. The maintenance access panel near the floor was moving slightly. Someone was trying to come through from the other side. The panel popped open and a small green-skinned figure emerged, a young Arcturian. He looked terrified but determined. He spotted Olivia and crawled quickly to her side. "I'm Technician Kiro," he whispered. "Security sent me to help. I know these systems." Olivia moved aside and let him work on the control panel. His fingers moved much faster than hers, typing complex codes. "Almost there," he whispered. "When the doors open, I can also disable their weapon, but everyone needs to be ready to move quickly." Olivia nodded and sent another silent message to Admiral Howard. "Doors opening soon. Prepare to evacuate." Howard began quietly spreading the word. Delegates prepared themselves, some helping the elderly or those who couldn't move quickly. "Your time is up," the voice announced. "You have failed to meet our demands. The device will now activate." The weapon began to hum. Light gathered at its center. "Now," Kiro whispered, pressing the final button. All the doors in the room slid open at once. The weapon sparked and went dark. Emergency lights came on, and security forces rushed in from all entrances. "Everyone out!" Captain Nix shouted. Quickly and calmly. The delegates moved toward the exits. Coalition security officers guided them to safety. Chaos filled the hallways outside the summit room. Security officers guided scared delegates toward safe areas. Medical teams helped those who needed care. Olivia stayed close to the young Arcturian technician, Kiro, who had helped open the doors. "How? Did you know what to do with the systems?" Olivia asked him as they moved with the crowd. "I work in maintenance," Kiro explained. "When security announced there might be trouble, I knew I could help through the service tunnels." Captain Nix appeared beside them. "Commander Martinez, we need you in the security center. Admiral Howard is gathering everyone who can help identify the isolationists." Olivia followed Captain Nix, with Kiro coming along too. They took a different elevator from the main crowd, going deep into the lower levels of the embassy building. They entered a large room filled with screens showing different parts of the building. Security officers worked at control stations, coordinating the response. Admiral Howard stood in the center, talking with Security Director Vax and several other officers. He looked up when Olivia entered. "Commander, good work back there," he said. "Your quick thinking prevented what could have been a major disaster." "Thank you, sir," Olivia replied. "What's the situation now?" "We've secured most of the building," Vax said. His blue Draxian skin looked paler than before from stress. "3 isolationist agents have been captured, but we believe their leader is still hiding somewhere in the embassy." Howard pointed to a screen showing the hallways. "The problem is that they're wearing staff uniforms. We can't tell them apart from regular workers." Olivia had an idea. "What about the guard from this morning, Krell? Has he said anything that might help?" "He's been questioned, but he claims he knows nothing about the attack," Captain Nix said. "He admits to blocking new species from events but says that was his own prejudice, not part of a larger plan." Olivia thought for a moment. "I think he's lying. The timing is too perfect. I arrive for my first major summit, get blocked by a prejudiced guard, and then the summit is attacked? That can't be coincidence." Howard nodded slowly. "You think he was meant to keep you out specifically, but why?" "Because I'm human," Olivia said. "And humans were specially requested for this summit. The isolationists must have known that and tried to prevent it. But they failed because you knew the rules and called security instead of giving up," Kiro added. His green scales seemed to brighten with excitement. "That's why they had to try the direct attack." A voice came over the communication system. "Security alert. Unidentified person detected in power control room." Everyone turned to look at the screens. A single figure in a maintenance uniform was working on the main power controls. "That's not a regular technician," Vax said. "The power room was supposed to be empty during lockdown." "Can you zoom in?" Olivia asked. The camera zoomed closer. The figure had light blue skin and 4 arms, a Draxian like Krell and Vax, but with lighter coloring. "I know him," Vax said, his voice hard. "That's Chief Engineer Zorix. He's worked here for 20 years. "What's he doing?" Howard asked. "It looks like he's overriding the safety systems for the embassy's main reactor," Vax said. His voice was worried now. "If he succeeds, he could cause an overload. That would destroy the whole building. And kill everyone inside, including all the delegates," Captain Nix added. "The perfect way to destabilize the coalition if their first plan failed. We need to stop him," Howard said. "Security team, move to the power room immediately." Vax shook his head. "The power room is locked down. It will take time to override the doors, and by then it might be too late." "There's another way in," Kiro said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at the young Arcturian. "The maintenance tunnels connect to the power room. That's how I got into the summit room earlier." "Can you lead a team there?" Howard asked. Kiro nodded. "Yes, but the tunnels are small. Only someone my size could move quickly enough." Olivia stepped forward. "I can go with him. I'm smaller than most of the security team." Howard looked concerned. "It's dangerous, Commander. Zorix is clearly willing to kill to achieve his goals." "With respect, sir, we don't have time to argue," Olivia said. "Kiro and I are the best option right now." Howard nodded. "Go. Captain Nix, give them both emergency weapons and communicators. Security teams will try to breach the main door as a distraction." 5 minutes later, Olivia and Kiro were crawling through a narrow tunnel. The space was tight even for them. Olivia's uniform was getting dirty, but that was the least of her worries. "How much further?" she whispered. "Just ahead," Kiro replied. "There's an access panel that opens into the back of the power room." They reached the panel. Kiro worked quickly to unlock it without making noise. Through the small gaps, they could see Zorix working at the main control panel. His 4 hands moved quickly, bypassing safety systems one by one. "We need a plan," Olivia whispered. "He's bigger and stronger than both of us." Kiro looked thoughtful. "I know these systems. If I can reach the emergency shutdown panel on the far wall, I can lock him out completely." Olivia nodded. "I'll distract him. When he's focused on me, you make your move." She checked her small emergency weapon. It wasn't designed to kill, only to stun. She would have to get close for it to work effectively. "Ready?" she asked. Kiro nodded. Olivia counted down with her fingers. 3, 2, 1. She pushed the panel open and rolled into the room, coming up in a defensive stance. "Stop what you're doing, Zorix." The Draxian engineer turned in surprise. When he saw Olivia, his face showed pure hatred. "The human, of course it's you." "Step away from the controls," Olivia ordered, moving slowly to her right to draw his attention away from where Kira would enter. "You don't give orders here," Zorix snarled. "Humans have no place in the coalition. You're too young, too violent, too unpredictable." While he was talking, Kiro slipped into the room and moved silently along the wall toward the emergency panel. "If you're worried about violence, this is a strange way to show it," Olivia replied, keeping Zorix's attention. "You're about to kill hundreds of innocent people." "Sometimes sacrifice is necessary," Zorix said. "The older races built this coalition over thousands of years. We won't let it be ruined by letting in primitive species too quickly." Olivia saw Kiro reach the panel. She needed just a few more seconds. "Is that why you had Krell try to stop me this morning?" Zorix smiled coldly. "That was the simple solution. If he had succeeded, you wouldn't be here. The summit would have failed, and we could have blamed humans for the failure." He reached for a final control. "But this works too." "Now, Cairo," Olivia shouted. The young Arcturian slammed his hand on the emergency shutdown. Red lights flashed and all the controls locked instantly. Zorix roared with anger and lunged toward Kiro. Olivia moved quickly, stepping between them and firing her stun weapon. At such close range, it hit Zorix with full force. He staggered, but didn't fall. Draxians were tough. He swung one of his 4 arms at Olivia, knocking her aside. She hit the wall hard but managed to stay on her feet. Zorix turned back to the controls, trying to break through the lockdown. That's when the main door burst open. Captain Nix and her security team rushed in, weapons ready. Zorix knew he was trapped. He raised his hands in surrender. "Perfect timing," Olivia said, catching her breath. "Good work, Commander," Captain Nix replied. "And you too, Technician Kiro. You both just saved a lot of lives." 2 days later, Olivia stood in Admiral Howard's office. The embassy had returned to normal operations. The peace summit had resumed in a different, more secure location. "The Arcturians and vegans have reached an agreement," Howard told her. "They're going to build the habitat ring together just as you suggested. Both sides are actually excited about the project now." "That's wonderful news," Olivia said. "There's more," Howard continued. "The isolationist plot exposed a serious problem, but it also created an opportunity. The older member species were impressed by how Earth handled the crisis. The Coalition Council has voted to create a new security division focused on internal threats. They want a human to lead it." Olivia looked surprised. "Me, sir?" Howard smiled. "You've earned it, Commander. Or should I say Captain Martinez? The promotion is effective immediately." Olivia felt pride swell in her chest. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." "I know you won't," Howard replied. "By the way, that young Arcturian Kiro has requested to work with you. He's got quite a future ahead of him." "I'd be happy to have him on my team," Olivia said. As she left the office, Olivia thought about everything that had happened. It had started with a simple security checkpoint and a guard who tried to block her way. Instead of getting angry or giving up, she had followed the rules and called security on him. That small decision had led to all of this. Sometimes, she thought, the most powerful response wasn't forcing your way through a door. It was knowing exactly who to call to open it for you.